Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Apparently only the strong survive this early in the morning. I'm going to take you into a very new concept today. I call it the biological hologram, which is how we need to start thinking about the body as a systems biological approach with all the interrelationships and what we call diseases. And as from a cardiovascular point of view, what I've learned is if I don't understand the other disciplines well, I simply cannot practice good cardiovascular medicine. And I think whatever your discipline is, you're going to determine eventually that you also have to understand all this as well. So let's go with the first concept, which is there are no diseases. We've got to redefine. There's processes, and they're very similar. Our goal is not to really start doing more ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes, but to start determining the reason that patients have what we define as a disease. So prevention and treatment strategies are very important as we go forward in looking at what we have called diseases in the past. These are the three things that are underlying every disease or process that occurs in the human body. And if you understand inflammation, oxidative stress, and immune dysfunction, we're going to learn to backtrack and turn the system upside down. Look at these finite responses, which are coming from infinite numbers of insults, resulting in a process that we name a disease so we can get paid for it with an ICD-9 code. So this is what you're going to learn today. We're going to take each system and plug it into the infinite insult results in three finite responses. So this is the summary of everything I'm going to tell you today, and then we'll get into the specifics. So there's an infinite number of internal as well as external insults that produce injury to your cells. That initial and acute defensive response that the cell has is to protect itself from the damage and try to contain the insult. That is appropriate and it's correct. However, if you continue to insult yourself with whatever it is, your environmental insults or food, toxins or whatever, the cell or the organ is going to continue to be damaged. And often it's as an innocent bystander. So the processes that are inherent are very similar in every cell and every organ, and they lead to very specific and recognizable patterns that we call a disease, and it depends on the organ in which it's involved in. So cardiovascular disease, neurological, gastrointestinal, even cancer, all have interrelationships that are very similar based on these three finite responses. So this is what you have coming in every day into your system, a virtual tsunami. And this is what will happen if we don't start removing the insults coming in, but also determine how to treat the responses. So as we start looking at things, we can plug in very simplistic concepts that relate to how does the body respond to what's coming in. And the first line of defense is the membrane. So let's take just a couple of minutes and define membrane function and dysfunction. This is your protective barrier between the external and the internal environment. So no matter how you define it, a membrane is a membrane. It's got the same constituents, fatty acids, proteins, receptors. So if it's your blood vessel, it's your endothelial lining. That's endothelial dysfunction. It's your brain, the blood-brain barrier, brain dysfunction. Enterocyte dysfunction. You could go on and on. The point is, if you learn the pathophysiology of membrane dysfunction, and I always tell people, if you understand vascular biology, you can put this into the system and understand all of it. You can then take the same principles and apply them to all the different diseases.
I'm hoping that we can remember the power of enzymes, and I think we've forgotten them. I think we've forgotten a lot of things in our medicine, and enzymes are something that's very important. Here's my, here we go, disclosures. You guys can get through that later. And I'm going to bypass a little bit of this because we're running late, and I want to go into why I am reintroducing you to enzymes, not just digestive, but systemic enzymes and the importance of those. I am a diplomate in the American Academy of Pain Management. I do a lot of pain management in my practice. I also do anti-aging and aesthetics, like most of us. But enzymes are something that will add to any modality that you are using. Anything you are doing, we've got to remember that enzymes are the proteins that speed up chemical reactions. So any modality that you're using, nutritional, injections, whatever we're doing, not forgetting the fact that without enzymes, we're a bag of proteins and hormones and all these things, but what drives them and gives them the energy and the speed to do what they do are the enzymes. There are metabolic enzymes, which we were hearing about with your previous speaker, that are running all the reactions, but we know food enzymes and digestive enzymes. They are the workers, but we also know now, as more studies are coming through, that they may serve something different than just workers. They are carrying a vital energy factor that it's starting to be researched. So there's another piece to enzymes as far as energy and frequencies than we knew before. I don't have to tell this group, but anytime you cook a food or you heat anything that you're putting in your body over 118 degrees, you've killed all the enzymes, all the life energy. It comes in a package, it's cooked, it's dead. There is no enzymatic activity left there. So digestive enzymes help replace what we just killed with the cooking. I'm not going to go into that, but what we just are talking about is that when you have a substrate that hooks into an enzyme, it's not just speeding up that chemical reaction, but it's producing a new protein. It's producing something new.
Okay, tonight I will be speaking about hormone replacement therapy in light of tumor markers, namely the cancer profile. As you know, cancer is number one or number two disease that kills people every day, and it seems that ever more individuals getting cancer, and we have a very large number of ladies who have breast cancers. Later on in this talk, I will tell you what my observations are about that. If I ask you as to how do you detect cancer, say early, would there be an answer? Or when do you detect cancer? Generally, what's done is when a person has a lump in the breast or some sign or symptom of cancer, there are some which become quite obvious, then the individual will be sent for a CT, an MRI, eventually maybe for a biopsy. And these modalities will establish whether there's a cancer or not with some certainty. The fact is, by the time that this kind of diagnosis is being made, cancer is already there quite a bit, because there is a tumor which will be visible by MRI, CT, X-ray, whatever there is that will produce, which has a resolution about 3 millimeters size. When one has a 3 millimeter tumor, that is a tumor, and really some of the modalities which are now available requiring biochemical and clinical laboratory procedures require a tumor which has a size which is actually even larger than 3 millimeters. So what will that do for early detection? Actually, nothing. Once you have a tumor, that's going to be a whole lot of work, sweat and tears and fear, and a lot of expenses. Just not very long ago, I have seen a lady, she's 42 years old, she has twin children, she had double mastectomy, and she underwent 6.
How primary care can be the front line for America's most common and fastest growing cancer, by Dr. Janice Johnson. Dr. Johnson is the owner and chief medical officer of Arrowhead Health Centers a 150-employee, multi-specialty, multi-location healthcare company, which she founded in 1997. With the help of HealthCert, Arrowhead Centers has profitably implemented the successful and comprehensive skin cancer program within its family practice department. Other specialties which are available at Arrowhead Health Centers include medical, physical medicine and rehabilitation, interventional pain management, rehabilitation, physical therapy, chiropractic and massage therapy, gynecology, orthopedics, podiatry, laboratory, radiology, neurodiagnostics, and durable medical equipment. Making healthcare easier for its patients and partners is a focus of Arrowhead Health Centers. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Janice Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you everyone for waking up so early. I still see some people haven't gone to bed yet out there, so appreciate you having me here today. So what I'd like to speak to you about today is what the fastest growing cancer is. And you may or may not know what the fastest growing cancer is, and it's actually skin cancer. And it's something that I really feel that primary care can do an exceptional job at helping to screen, diagnose, and treat some of these cancers. So melanoma is the most serious type of skin cancer that we see. And the reason that it's the most serious, as you know, is that it can spread. It can spread locally, it can spread internally, and actually can kill as well, too. I got, my interest was piqued with melanoma when my sister-in-law, who was 29 years old, was diagnosed with melanoma, and she was pregnant with her second child at the time. She had a local excision and had a deep level, a Breslow level, and was recommended to have some sort of adjuvant therapy as well, too, some chemotherapy. But she was pregnant. And so she would lose her baby, basically, if she was going to pursue further therapy. And so she made the decision to hold on that until her baby was born. But it was too late. The cancer had spread, and she ended up dying just, a few months after the baby was born. And that really hit home with our family, as you can imagine. And what I decided was that...
I'm not comfortable with the phrase, the use of the word expert, but it would be true to say that I've focused most of my life in doing a few things and doing a few things well. And this vitamin E is one of them. And in the first 10 or so slides, introduction and some description of vitamin E, hoping to describe some confusion, clarification of confusion of it. And the understanding of this will lead quickly to the understanding of the functions of vitamin E, particularly the differentiated functions of vitamin E, tocotrienol, as opposed to the more popular tocopherol. So, and I'll do it in the way that I do best in these kind of things. That would be to describe it in the storytelling and my discovery of this, and then ending with the kind of studies that other people have done. That's a picture of the Anato plan to describe my discovery. We'll get to that. Vitamin E, not a lot of things necessarily is made in America. And vitamin E is a very American thing. It's discovered by these two physicians.